Good morning, everybody. I would like to call the September 2nd, 2020 meeting of the TPA's Technical Advisory Committee pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order number 20-69, TPA Operating Procedures, Section 6.2, and the TPA Emergency Order number 2020-04. The Palm Beach TPA is conducting this meeting virtually using the Zoom webinar platform. The TPA selected this platform because it does not require the public to purchase or download any additional software or equipment to attend this meeting. Aside from the Zoom webinar platform that the participants will use to attend remotely, the public will have no discernible difference in their ability to watch the meeting from that of someone physically attending the meeting. Instruction to join this virtual meeting, as well as contact information for the TPA staff member to assist you are provided in the published meeting agenda. Please note that although some members of the TAC are attending the meeting in person, committee members will be appearing at today's meeting remotely, either via webcam or telephone. Additionally, scheduled presenters and the TAC liaison will also be appearing via webcam or telephone. Before we begin, I will summarize our public comment procedures for this virtual meeting. Written documents, comments, and questions can be submitted online at the website provided in the agenda. Verbal comments can also be made live through the Zoom webinar platform. When you wish to be recognized, please use the raise hand function within the Zoom platform and then wait to be recognized by the chair and unmuted by the meeting host. Lastly, an in-person visitor may submit a comment card available at the welcome table. With this, I will go to agenda item 1A. Ask the staff to go with a roll call, please.
Roll call, okay.
And I'm going to have staff assist me with muting and unmuting and promoting anybody that joins while I do roll call. Will Hicks. And please make sure to unmute on your end as well. Will Hicks. I see he's joined, but we're not getting any audio from him. I'll move on. Motorsim Alter.
Yes.
Steve Anderson.
Anna Bielawska for Steve Anderson.
Terrence Bailey.
Here.
Jim Bell.
Here.
Jamie Brown.
Here.
Rick Cargill. And I believe I have Vicki Gatanis here for Lorraine.
Correct.
Thank you. Natalie Crowley.
Here.
Gwen Dang is excused. Brian Davis.
Present.
Kim Delaney.
Here.
Thomas Driscoll.
CJ on behalf.
Alex Hansen.
Here.
Aaron Hoffman.
Here.
Kara Irwin Ferris. I believe I saw Kara.
Here.
Thank you. Andrew Mack.
Alternate, Mike Rumpf.
Meher Mansour.
Here.
Christopher Marsh.
Here.
Michael Odell.
Here.
Richard Pereira.
Here.
Richard Reed.
Kim Glass Castro for Rich Reed.
Maria Tahara.
Richard Pereira is here. I don't know if you got my answer.
I did, thank you. Maria Tahara. I believe her alternate is here. Yes, I see them, okay. Kenny Wilson.
Here.
John Crane. We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I need to unmute myself. All right, let's go to agenda item 1B. I need a motion to adopt the agenda for September 2nd, 2020. Can I have a motion?
I moved.
Sorry, the name, because it's hard, we are not in person.
Natalie, I made a motion to move the
Thank you.
agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Alex?
Second, this is Alex Hansen.
Thank you. All right. Now I have a motion by Natalie and a second by Alex. Is there any discussion? Any comments? All right. We can do this. We don't need a roll call, right?
No, for these first two items, it's just a verbal yay or nay.
Okay. All right. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Let's move to agenda item 1C. Motion to approve minutes for July 1st, 2020. Are there any changes to the minutes, staff and or members? Okay. Do I need a motion then to adopt?
Kara Ferris, I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes for July 1st, 2020.
Dan, thank you. Seconded by, do I have any second?
I'll second. This is Anna.
Anna, okay, thank you. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Let's go to agenda item 1D. Comments from the chair. I don't have any comments. Let's go to agenda E, 1E. TAC liaison report. I will have Andrew to provide this liaison report. Andrew, I think you are muted and we don't see the screen either.
All right, you should be able to hear me now. Good morning, everyone. I want to go through some highlights we have on our liaison report. Up first, Rail Safety Week is going to be September 21st to the 27th, and this is to raise awareness of the need for rail safety education. And you can find out more information from the AppDoc website at appdoc.gov/rail/programs. There's still money available in the AppDoc High Visibility Enforcement Funds for pedestrian and bicycle safety. So this is a funding pot available for law enforcement agencies throughout the state to conduct these high visibility enforcement operations to improve pedestrian and bicycle safety. There's more information at the Alert Today Florida website. Safe Routes to School funding, the call for application just went out. So it started September 1st and it runs to December 31st. And this is a program to help communities address their school transportation needs and encourage more students to walk or cycle to school. There's more information at the Safe Routes to School website. I have a few more for you in a second. The AppDoc Land Repurposing Guidebook has been updated for 2020, and for those familiar with this, it provides guidance on land repurposing. It's also known as road diets, which can be a successful way to utilize existing space within a roadway, which has access capacity or changing transition demands. That full document, the guidance document, can be found on the AppDoc website at that link shown on the screen. We're still trying to get into products, local products from your jurisdictions and your capital improvement programs or other project lists that you all produce. So we can put those into our transportation improvement program as informational projects. We try to have a full list of projects in there so we have an idea of everything going on in the county when it comes to transportation projects. So if you have not submitted those projects to us yet, please email those to Jason Price at jprice@palmbeachcpa.org. And really any format that you have it in. If it's just a PDF, that's the only format you have, we would accept it. We'd really like to start getting all those products in there. Next is a webinar series by AppDoc. It's going to be all the full month of October, and this is going to be every Friday, and it's going to focus on a series of transportation topics to develop and enhance communities in our state. More information is on their website. And then the Safe Street Summit is going to be hosted virtually this year instead of in person, and that's going to be January 28th and 29th, so we'd like you to save the date on those. And then I have one other thing to mention. September 17th is going to be our next governing board meeting, and the final notice of that meeting will go out before that meeting, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. It's most likely going to be virtual again, but more information will be provided closer to the meeting time. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Andy. Staff, do we have any public comments on this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Does any member of the committee has a comment or question? Right. Thank you. Then let's move to the next item. It's the general public comments. I believe we covered that. That's item 1F. Right, staff?
So item 1E is open to public comments on that specific item, but for 1F, we haven't received any general public comments either.
Very good. Thank you. All right. We don't have any comments on that. Okay, let's move then to agenda item 2. This is an action item. 2A is motion to recommend adoption of amendment number 1 to the TPA's fiscal year 21-25 Transportation Improvement Program, TIP. The TIP is the 5-year funding program for transportation projects in Palm Beach County. The Florida Department of Transportation, DOT, has requested approval of an amendment to the FY 21-25 TIP to include the FY 20 roll forward projects. These projects were funded in FY 20 but not encumbered as programmed, so the remaining funds are being rolled forward into FY 21. The roll forward changes to FY 21 are summarized in the attached table. With this, I am inviting Jason Price, the TPA TIP coordinator, to present this item. Jason?
Morning, everyone. My name's Jason. I'm the TIP coordinator, and I'll be presenting this item. This will be the first amendment of the Transportation Improvement Program for fiscal year 21 through 25. This is always the first amendment of the cycle, and basically what the roll forward is as Mo had mentioned, this is rolling forward funds not obligated in the fiscal year 20 in our previous TIP and rolling them forward in the currently adopted TIP in the first year, fiscal year 2021. All of these projects are FDOT projects. There's a total of 105 projects with a total of 14 million being rolled forward. In your packet, you got the full list of all of the projects. Here is the highlights of the top 7 projects or so with a change of over 500,000 in roll forward funds. These are all funds predominantly in the right-of-way phase category. So these are just the first 3, and this next slide is just the remaining balance of the top 7 projects that had a movement of funds of over 500,000. So that's all I have for you to present. If you have any questions on any of the projects or the roll forward amendment, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jason. Before that, staff, are there any public comments on this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Then I need a motion to recommend adoption of the amendment number 1 to the TPA's FY 21-25 TIP, and then I will open the floor for discussion. So do I have a motion?
So moved. This is Kenny.
Ken, thank you. And do I have a second?
Second, Chris Marsh.
Chris, thank you. All right, now that we have the motion and the second, do we have any question, discussion, comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I have Alex Hansen with his hand raised, as well as Michael O'Dell.
Okay, Alex, you are recognized.
Yes, I have a few questions and then also some comments. The first question is, I noticed that for some items on certain categories, the roll forward is minimal. I mean, I see some that is $3, $6, a few others that is like $1,000. I'm just trying to understand how we got to such small numbers for some of these categories on roll forward. That is one question. The second, some of these projects, we seem to be rolling forward like almost every year. Every year we go through this process. Procedurally, is it possible for some of them, if we do know, or if FDOT knows that the monies are not going to be spent in this upcoming fiscal year, could they be moved to year 2 or year 3? If that is when they actually believe that these funds will be spent, that way we're not rolling forward year to year on projects that, again, we know the monies are not going to be spent this upcoming fiscal year. Those are the questions that I have. I also have the comment or the statement that since this item includes the State Road 7 extension, which is a project that the City of West Palm Beach opposes, I cannot support this item. But again, I have those other comments or questions on those two items. That's it.
Jason, do you want to ask them? You are muted.
Yeah. I think for some of the smaller amounts, I believe from FDOT, it could be just small administrative amounts of either closing out the project or just smaller amounts for them to do stuff on the project that didn't carry over from the previous. But in terms of real details, I don't have a lot of details in terms of why the amounts vary to such small amounts to such large amounts, other than what they provide.
It seems like John from FDOT is with us. You want to have John maybe try to answer this question?
Yeah, feel free, John. Could you share some more information about the roll forward?
Actually, I've got John P. in the audience. If you would allow me to call on him, he was involved with the roll forward, and I believe he had his hand raised, so he might have some additional information if that's all right.
Sure.
And,
Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. John Crane, thank you very much. I appreciate the deferral to me. Yeah, I was involved with the roll forward report on this one, and I have asked these same questions. Jason did cover the first question very well. What those smaller funds, smaller fees are is typically something administrative that has rolled forward. Perhaps funding that was obligated in the prior fiscal year that we still have, perhaps like filing fees for right-of-way acquisition. Maybe we have court filing fees or what have you that still need to remain on the project available so that we can finish executing that paperwork in the current fiscal year. Sometimes those items are time sensitive and can't be done within the fiscal year that they're actually obligated in. So they do roll forward to the next year. Again, they're typically administrative. They're typically small funds. Sometimes they're just project closeout items. The second question to that that Alex had was procedurally with regard to the larger amounts of funding rolling forward from year to year. Alex, my understanding on most of those funds is that they are generally right-of-way related. Right-of-way has a very specific timeline for process that they go through. That right-of-way acquisition process can sometimes take a very long time. And we can't begin that acquisition process until we actually have the funds encumbered to actually go out and initiate a taking. Sometimes that taking cannot occur within the fiscal year that we've initiated it. Again, it's similar to the administrative fees. Sometimes there are complications that force that taking to roll forward into the coming year. So what we do is we roll forward the funds with that until we're able to execute those takings. So that's generally speaking, that's what those roll forward funds are. In one case, I believe it was one of the interchanges that's on that list. I just dealt with that one in depth recently. There were a couple of additional parcels with a minor taking that were identified as a result of the PE phase. So the funds ended up being stretched. And when I say stretched, I mean they were all set up on the project in the first fiscal year, and we ended up moving some of those funds forward into the second, third, and fourth fiscal year. So hopefully that answers your question. Generally speaking, the roll forward on these though is with regard to right-of-way, meeting the timeline for right-of-way. So if you have any further questions, Alex, I'll be glad to explore those for you, but that's the best answer I can give you at the moment.
Yeah, if I can jump in. Mark.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
My question had to do, and I understand the concept of the roll forward. I guess my question is, all of these seem to be forward to year one of the TIP, and some of them have been moving forward year by year, 1 year for the last several years, even though it appears that FDOT may have known that there was no way that those funds were going to be spent in the next year, that the funds were going to be more likely spent in year 2, 3, or even later. So procedurally, so that we're not moving every year 50, 60 projects, if some of those FDOT already knows, hey, these monies are not going to be spent in this upcoming year. They're going to be spent in year 2 or 3. Is it possible to roll forward to year 2 or 3 instead of doing all these little roll forwards year by year? So that is my question. I understand some of this, yes, you may be needing the monies for this upcoming year, but to me, it seems others are a few years down the road. So procedurally, I did not know whether you could do the roll forward to year 2, 3, or 4 instead of moving everything just year by year by year.
So Alex, let me
do
just,
this process next year.
so we can, in terms of our roll forward, we can't roll to a future year, right? This is kind of an encumbrance of money. So it's consider it like a bank account. You've got a deposit in there. And if you didn't spend it, you can't take it out of there and put it in a future year, right? Those future year allocations are based on, they're not even there right now, right? That's a commitment for funding. Assuming the legislature is going to put that money there, then it will be there. So the roll forward is an actual encumbrance of money that we've acquired, and it goes into the next year. And we have to have certain phases fully funded in order to start them. So if a right-of-way phase is going to be, $20 million or $10 million, we can't start that phase until we have the $10 million acquired necessarily that we could potentially spend it that year. So your question is if we know we're not going to spend it. And so we don't really know that, but we know we need to have the money available to us should it progress really well. Sometimes right away is very protracted. Sometimes it goes very smoothly. So that's kind of the first half of your question is no, we can't roll it into a future year. The second half is we try to accumulate it to make sure that it's fully funded before we start.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, John, and thank you, Jason. Staff, I cannot tell if there are any other raised hands.
Yes, I have Michael Odell with his hand raised, as well as Jim Bell.
Okay, Mike, go ahead, please.
I just need a clarification on the Southern Boulevard Bridges, project number 4190131. Is that just a carryover from the work that's going on the intercoastal bridges, or are these other bridges? I just want to understand what that is.
John, do you want to take this one, or Jason?
Mr. Odell, thank you for your question. I'll have to look into it. I haven't looked at that one specifically, but I can look into that and get an answer back for you by the end of the day, if that's all right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who's next, staff, please?
Jim Bell.
Please, go ahead, Jim.
Yes, this is Jim. I just have a comment for FDOT. Looking at the spreadsheets, a couple of the entries don't finish the sentence of the entry. They say like from Lyons Road, Sandsbury Way, from Forest Hill Boulevard 2, Westgate Avenue from Bosco Drive 2. Like some of the entries are missing the other parts of the roadway. So just if that could be cleaned up so that we could see all the affected roads with the improvements.
Okay, I can take care of that. Also on the website, the FDOT provides us the roll forward in their format in the PDF version It's the full version of it. So when you do go to the, if you do go to the website, there's an amendment 1, and you'll see this amendment in this spreadsheet that we produce at the TPA, but then you'll see the actual FDOT roll forward report as well. But I'll fix this, and that way you'll see the name on both.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, guys. Margie, who is next in the order of receipt? Here's the hand.
I don't have any one else with their hand raised at this time.
No more discussion? Okay. Thank you. Then since we have no more discussion of this item, I'm going to ask staff to do the roll call. We have a motion by Ken and a second by Chris. Staff, please.
Will Hicks, and I'm sorry, you're going to need to unmute on your side as well. We'll prompt you to unmute, but it may give you a prompt as well. So Will Hicks. Well, I'm not getting your sound. I'm going to move on. Modisum Alter.
Yes.
Anna Bielowski.
Yes.
Terrence Bailey. Terrence, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing any sound on your end. Okay, I'll come back to Terrence. Jim Bell.
Yes.
Jamie Brown.
Yes.
Vicky Gatanis. Vicky, I'm not getting any sound from you either.
Better?
Oh, I hear you now, Vicky. Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Natalie Crowley.
Yes.
Brian Davis.
Yes.
Kim Delaney.
Yes.
CJ Lamb.
Yes.
Alex Hansen.
No.
Aaron Hoffman.
Yes.
Kara Irwin Paris.
Yes.
Michael Rump.
Yes.
Meher Mansour.
Yes.
Christopher Marsh.
Yes.
Michael Odell.
Yes.
Richard Pereira.
Yes.
Kim Glass Castro.
Yes.
Quan Yan. Sorry, I just want to make sure that we unmute. I'll go back to that one as well. Kenny Wilson. Kenny Wilson.
Yes.
And then just to go back, I believe I have Will is calling in my phone as well. Will Hicks.
Yes.
Thank you. And then we'll do Terrence Bailey again. I didn't get a response from you. Okay, we'll mark him as absent. And the last one is Quan Yan. I didn't get a response. We'll mark as absent as well. It passes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on then to agenda item 2B. This is the action agenda. So we have a motion to recommend approval of the TPA's Public Participation Plan, PPP, update. I'm not gonna go ahead and read the entire description, but this is the TPA's PPP that establishes policies and procedures for public engagement, including notice of proposed actions and opportunity for input. With that, I'm inviting Melissa Booth, the TPA's Public Relations Manager, to present this item. Melissa?
Good morning. The TPA's Public Participation Plan establishes the policies and procedures for public engagement, and a draft was provided as part of your backup. There's no regular schedule for updates. The updates to the PPP are made as needed, and we did a major overhaul of this document less than 3 years ago in October 2017. So today I'm going to review 4 primary highlights of these proposed updates for your consideration. The first will be an official form of public notice. The second is the LRTP and TIP adoption policy. Third, consistency with the TPA operating procedures. And the last is the public participation goals and objectives. For the official form of public notice, that has been our website, but we placed much stronger emphasis on that to make it much more easily found in multiple locations within the document. We may supplement through our e-newsletter and social media and so forth, but the TPA website is the primary official form of public notice for meeting dates, details, public comment opportunities, and comments on draft documents and plans. We have a new LRTP and TIP adoption policy proposed. What is it? It requires approval or rejection of the entire LRTP and TIP. It requires requests for project additions or deletions to be heard as proposed amendments at a future meeting. Why do it? To ensure adequate public notice for interested parties, to provide clarity for voting members, to maintain balance between the available funds and project costs, and to allow staff review of add or delete impacts. And in April of this year, for the first time, as a result of the COVID and having to conduct meetings virtually when it was legally authorized, for the first time, the TPA established operating procedures. And one of the things that did was to combine bylaws that previously had been separate. So there were multiple instances in this public participation plan where we needed to make updates for consistency with that new operating procedures. So the PPP now acknowledges and reflects the updates that are required for consistency with the TPA operating procedures. It eliminates the superseded references to the individual sets of bylaws for the board and the individual advisory committees. It includes public participation for virtual meetings when legally permitted, and it reflects the authority of the chair to approve and or amend certain essential documents when the TPA is unable to conduct a board meeting in person or virtually. And finally, the public participation goals and objectives that previously had been found directly in the public participation plan have been altered. Those items have been removed from the public participation plan, the goals, objectives, and individual targets and measures. And instead, the public participation plan now reflects their inclusion and reporting within the TPA strategic plan, which is adopted every year, along with an annual report card that tracks our progress for each of those. And this also allows for the goals, the actions, and outcomes to engage the public to be more specific, more frequently updated, and aligned with the TPA's Unified Planning Work Program. Are there any questions? And again, a draft of the entire document was provided in your backup.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. Before we move into questions, I want to ask staff if we have any public comments on this item.
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Then I need a motion to recommend approval of the TPA's public participation plan update, and then I will move this, open the floor for discussion. Do I have a motion?
This is Jim Bell. I motion to approve.
Thank you, Jim. Do I have a second?
Aaron Hoffman, second.
And thank you. Now that we have the motion and the second, we open it the floor for discussion. Do I have anybody wishing to speak, has questions or comments?
Yes, I have Alex Hansen with his hand raised.
Okay, Alex, it's all yours. Go ahead.
Yes. I just want to mention that I saw there's a section on the plan on how to guide for addressing the TPA. So some guidelines for members of the public who want to participate in the TPA process. I thought that was pretty good. So kudos on that. Second, just a question: is this document also being shared with the other advisory committees? And the reason why I'm asking is I did not see it in the agenda of tomorrow's Bicycle Trailways Pedestrian Advisory Committee, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be shared with them at a later meeting then.
No, and one of the things, Alex, that this document does is it shows for each of the different plans and documents that we adopt, it shows the process, the committees that it goes through for recommendations before it's considered by the board. And the public participation plan goes to the TAC and to the Citizens Advisory Committee. It does not go through the BITPAC before it gets recommended. So you're the two advisory committees that will be making the recommendations to the board for adoption.
All right. Thank you. Who's Kenny, I believe, had his hand raised? Staff?
I don't see any other hands raised, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then I have a couple of comments and or questions. I see that you mentioned that this PPP can be updated anytime. However, I like what you are recommending in terms of providing or closing the door on some surprise motions that could be taken or offered, or the board can be asked to take on important projects without giving enough time for everybody to digest, get it, etc. But however, this update is a little short of our ambitions. The county, here in the county, we believe that this document needs to, and the procedures for the development and adoption of the long-range transportation plans needs to reflect the need for full and closer collaboration between the TPA staff and Palm Beach County's engineering and planning departments. Reasons for that are ample. First of all, Palm Beach County and its departments represent all the county, not just only the unincorporated. Also, more importantly, the county does operate and maintain almost half of the entire major roadway system in the county, with the other half being maintained and operated by FDOT. And the county is large enough with very qualified staff, knowledge, and influence on what happens in terms of the transportation future and planning for the county. Therefore, we would love to see all of that reflected in this document, the major role that Palm Beach County needs to play into this. And the second element that we hope for in the future is to revise this document also to reflect. I know that you mentioned there in the document that Palm Beach County's future capital improvement projects or plans are included in the LRTP for informational purposes only. And we would like for this document to go one further step by indicating that those projects would be submitted by the county and they are not subject to change by the TPA board simply because those projects are included for information purposes only, and the TPA does not play any role in funding those projects. They are totally, completely funded by the county, and they are under complete authority of the county. So we are hoping that we can work with the TPA staff to bring upon something like this in the near future. Having said that, I support the updates that were provided in today's item. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mo. I know the TPA is very strongly committed to working closely with the county and with all of our partners and members. And of course, these documents are generally presented more than once throughout the process. So we also want to work more collaboratively and earlier. So if there are changes to be made to a document, that those things can be done before we have a final draft that's presented to the public. but the process that you're describing is not necessarily appropriate for inclusion in the public participation plan. This is a document to tell the public how they can expect to be informed of opportunities to be involved, to provide feedback, and how they can go about that process. So that this is just the basic process between us and the public, not necessarily to get into how a specific plan is developed. But we are very committed to doing that sooner, earlier, more frequently, to collaborate so that we can prevent any delays or, as you say, surprises.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. I understand what you said, but still, actually, the proposed amendments go into the heart of this issue of determining the projects that are being voted on to be included in the LRTP, etc. So it has a lot to do and or related directly to the concerns that we have, and we hope that they can be reflected.
And as you, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
As you look at the process for each of the plans in this public participation plan, it also shows the public participation opportunities for amendments. So in each case, it may be typically 30 days for an original TIP or LRTP documents final draft to be available for public review, and then the amendment may be 14 days. But amendments, the process for amendments to be addressed with public input is also, the process is outlined in this document.
Very good. Thank you, Melissa, for the answers and for the presentation. Do we have any further comments from the members?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have Brian Davis with his hand raised.
Yes, please, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to echo some of Mr. Alturk's comments about the county's role, but I also just want to speak generally to the document. I think it's a good public participation plan. As planners, we know that public involvement is critical, but there's also a need to have some transparency that goes forward. And for me, being relatively new, reading the plan for the first time, it was very difficult for me to see exactly what was changing other than the backup, the agenda item itself and what it said. And it requires a need to review these very closely and go through two documents side by side, which can be rather time consuming. I know that in planning, we typically, well, not typically, we're required by statute to indicate any changes that we make very clearly with underline and strike through. And being a technical committee, I don't know that we need the glitz and glamour of sort of the final presentation, but it would be very helpful to those of us that are reviewing and commenting if we could actually have the highlighted changes, because frequently the devil is in the details and what's being changed, and a little word here and a little word there that at the moment may not seem to be a real issue can have huge implications going forward in time. And so it would be very helpful. I think the staff presented it well, but I haven't had the time to go into the weeds and read every single line in great detail, and I'm not sure exactly what's out there. I think it's a great concept. It's a very good and robust public participation process, and I want to compliment you on that. It just help us understand exactly what's involved, and that's more just a constructive criticism going forward in reviewing these documents. You know, if we're going to spend the time reading them, it helps if we can sort of get right to the chase. What are the real issues? What's being changed? What's being modified? So I just wanted to put that out there for consideration going forward. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Brian. Do I have any other requests to speak?
I see no more hands raised, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you. We have now a hearing, a motion, and we have a second motion by Jim and second by Andy. Staff, can you please go ahead and do the roll call?
I'm sorry, Mo, just to clarify, the second was by Aaron Hoffman.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And again, we're going to prompt you to unmute on our side. You will need to unmute on your side as well. So Will Hicks,
Yes.
Modison Alter,
Yes.
Anna Bielowski,
Yes.
Terrence Bailey,
Yes.
Jim Bell,
Yes.
Jamie Brown,
Yes.
Vicki Gatanis,
Yes.
Natalie Crowley,
Yes.
Brian Davis,
Yes.
Kim Delaney,
Yes.
CJ Lynn,
Yes.
Alex Hansen,
Yes.
Aaron Hoffman,
Yes.
Kara Irwin Ferris,
Yes.
Michael Rum,
Yes.
Meher Mansour,
Yes.
Christopher Marsh,
Yes.
Michael Odell,
Yes.
Richard Pereira,
Yes.
Kim Glass Castro,
Yes.
Quan Young,
Yes.
Kenny Wilson.
Yes.
It passes unanimously, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Margie. Let's move to item 3 on the agenda. That's an informational item. Item 3A, Beeline Highway Connected Vehicles. This is an FDOT project on Beeline Highway. It's for connected vehicles from Martin County line to Old Dixie Highway, FM number 4465511. The description in the tip is to add connected vehicle elements as well as traditional TSNMO to the corridor, includes but is not limited to freight signal priority, CCTV cameras, Bluetooth devices, and ADMS devices. The project is programmed for design in FY 2022 and construction in FY24, and the draft presentation was attached to the agenda. With this, I am inviting Ms. Autumn Young, FDOT District Freight Coordinator, to present this item. Autumn, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, everyone. My name is Autumn Young. Can you hear me okay?
I think we do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is the first time I'm presenting to the TAC. A lot of you don't know me. I am the District Freight Coordinator. I serve in the Office of Modal Development in District 4. And today I'm here to present the project to you. I do want to let you know that the presentation I will send to you, and that should be in the meeting minutes, is different than the draft. It's been updated. And we are also in the process of revising the description based on input from the county. So when you heard the chair speak and give the item description, and included some things that have changed. So I hope that that will all be reflected within this meeting. And then we hope to do possibly an amendment to that later on after hearing your input today. So as we go along, I hope that you jot down notes. I know when we say it's informational item, but I hope that you know that when I hear it, it's a little bit of a misnomer, because what I'm looking for today is to hear your thoughts on the project, as well as pieces of your input, and I'll signal that throughout the presentation. So today I'm gonna walk you through the connected vehicle program. I'm not sure how much the statewide program has been presented to the TAC, so I'll cover that briefly. I'll go over the project, the process, timeline, key considerations, unknowns, this is very important, as well as next steps. So before introducing the project, I would like to talk to you about FDOT's overall involvement with connected vehicle and autonomous vehicles. At a statewide level, the department has led and participated in academic research, as well as implementation of new technology that supports connected vehicle applications. The goal of the program is to utilize CAV technology to improve mobility and safety on Florida's transportation system, and prepare Florida for CAV technology becoming the standard for the majority of vehicles on the roadway, both passenger and vehicle. Of course, the unknown to that is we're not quite sure when that's going to happen. On the right is a map of all of Florida's connected vehicles, which include planning initiatives, projects that will result in implementation, and systems that are operational, either in an academic setting or on a small segment of public roadway, such as the campus of University of Florida. As you can see, the majority of this work has been conducted in Orlando, Tampa, and Gainesville, mostly as a result due to their proximity to academic research institutions, as well as facilities such as SunTrax. On the left is an excerpt from the CAV program, which explains the department's approach to connected vehicles. CAV technology has the potential not only to improve driver safety, but also all the other roadway users, such as cyclists and pedestrians. Okay, so no connected vehicle project is possible without infrastructure ownership necessary to implement this technology. The objective of this project is to deploy additional infrastructure along State Road 710 within Palm Beach County to expand the arterial traffic management system between the Port of Palm Beach and the Martin County line. So that's the entire length of Palm Beach County. The deployment will include additional fiber optic cable, upgraded controller cabinets, and other emerging technologies where they're appropriate, and I'll talk more about that later. This upgraded infrastructure will expand the monitoring and traffic management capabilities along State Road 710. As we know, the traffic management and operations programs, TS7O programs, they help improve travel time reliability, safety, throughput, and the accuracy and timeliness of travel information. This segment is an essential connection of the ATMS network necessary in order for it to expand into the Glades region of Palm Beach County. So here's a view of the project limits. Again, the limits extend the entire length of Palm Beach County from the county line to the Port of Palm Beach, Old Dixie Highway. As we know, State Road 710 passes two major interstates, I-95 and Turnpike, then continues west into undeveloped portions of Palm Beach County, quickly becoming, somewhat developed portions of Palm Beach County in the areas of the NCNC. So the context classification changes along the project limits multiple times, and therefore the needs of the roadway users also change across these project limits. The signal density, urban environment, and posted speed limits differ in the eastern and western portions, as does transit service. The route's paralleled by the CSX Railway in the western portion, and it also connects two major freight facilities at either end. The Port of Palm Beach, which may be the most obvious one, and then the other one on the western portion is the Palm Beach Park of Commerce to the west, which the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County recently announced will be home to Amazon, in addition to their newest location near the Palm Beach International Airport. On the top left, you can see the North Palm Beach County General Aviation Airport, those little lines there. And last, State Road 710 is also in close proximity to sensitive receptors, including many churches and schools like West Riviera Elementary School and the Boys and Girls Club just north of State Road 710, as well as JFK Medical Center, and of course, Grassy Water Preserve. This is really a multimodal and very dynamic corridor, and the environment is an asset to this project, as you will see. So keep that in mind as we continue to talk about the other facets of this project. So how will this project extend the ATMS? In order to be able to monitor traffic and provide the benefits I just outlined, the infrastructure must first be in place, and that is the core focus of this project. The project will deploy additional fiber optic cable, upgraded controller cabinets, as I mentioned, and then other technology where that can assist with traffic monitoring where it's appropriate and funding allows. These other technologies may include things like vehicle detection devices, digital messaging signs, which are all essential and standard components to monitoring traffic. The basic milestones of the project are outlined. The first step is to conduct outreach with your partners. So this is, again, the first time I'm presenting to the TAC, but hopefully will not be the last. The second time, the second step, which kicks off shortly, is developing the planning documents necessary to identify the exact scope that will be developed in the design phase. The engineering planning level documents required include the concept of operations and the systems engineering plan, which will need to be developed in coordination with Palm Beach County Traffic Engineering. Once constructed, the department plans to hand the operations system off to Palm Beach County, and that includes a lot of coordination, such as agreements and a post assessment. So once this infrastructure is deployed, we do want to go back and take a look to learn from any changes that are made. So the other organizations that you see on the screen, we'll also conduct outreach with them. But as we proceed through the presentation, I would like to understand more about who you think I should be talking to, especially in the Riviera Beach. I've never worked personally with those organizations, such as the CRA, but you may know of other local communities that would be interested in hearing about this project. So at the end, I'm going to ask you about that. Okay, so here's the project schedule. So I went through the steps briefly, but the project, as Mo mentioned, is scheduled to enter into design in spring of 2022, and the construction will not be completed for at least another 5 years. With any technology project, The major challenge is to ensure the technology does not become obsolete by the time you construct it, and that it can be scaled over time. After construction, the system will be handed off to Palm Beach County for operation and integration into the Palm Beach County ATMS network. A post-construction assessment will be completed to quantify the benefits, and we have lots of options in terms of the metrics that we want to look at and who will be conducting that assessment. The timelines for these two milestones at the end will be developed after the design begins, which is standard for any DOT project. There may be some opportunity to work with Florida's academic institutions to conduct these assessments as well as some of the pre-planning work. And because of the complexity and quick pace, in coordination with Palm Beach County Engineering and our local communities, this TAC and other major stakeholders is going to be ongoing throughout the entire project schedule. So at its essence, this is an ATMS project, as I mentioned, but it's important as part of the FDOT's CAV program. And it is also the very first in District 4, which we're happy about. The short-term potential for this project is, again, that it'll improve traffic monitoring capabilities out into the Glades region. And if you think about this, and especially on the western portions of State Route 710, incidents in the area can cause complete closure of the roadway with very few alternative routes. And this can cause catastrophic delay, but also sometimes secondary crashes. By at least beginning to monitor these events after deployment of this project, our ability to manage these incidents and notify the public will improve. And the long-term potential is to create a connected vehicle platform. And that platform is necessary to bring in any kind of connected vehicle applications onto this corridor. Again, it's necessary to have the infrastructure in place first. And once the corridor is deployed and fully integrated into the ATMS, which again will take about 5 years from start to finish, the ability to deploy connected vehicle applications along a significant stretch of a single corridor will become a reality. And this is a pretty unique aspect of this project. These applications are still unknown, but they could include things like connected freight or infrastructure to vehicle applications such as queue detection and red light detection. The penetration of connected vehicles in 2025 and beyond is uncertain at this point, as I mentioned earlier. So these potential applications remain unknown and in the near future. So the deployment, as I mentioned, will establish a platform on which future CV applications and such as vehicle to infrastructure could be enabled and implemented and evaluated over time. The platform will transmit the traffic flow information from traffic signal systems and roadside sensors to a centralized location for dissemination. The technology can provide real-time information on travel times for the corridor, both recurring and non-recurring. Onboard units could contribute to more information on each traffic signal to the driver as they approach to help with harmonization. So this would result in things like reduced stops and starts by smoother flow to help motorists arrive on green and potentially reduce red light running. The platform may potential for other connections to onboard units for various fleets, such as connected transit and navigation system in private vehicles, such as connected freight. I also noted here that we could explore other opportunities, such as how this integrates with cell phone apps so that this could be deployed to other users of the roadway as well. So since, as most of you know, the signal system exists in delicate balance. Any change likely impact the entire network. And therefore, the decisions about these applications will need to be driven by data, which we don't yet have, and potentially even modeling these scenarios to ensure that that delicate balance is highly likely to be improved. So I studied economics, and something that I learned early in Micro 101, and if you guys have taken Micro 101, you might remember it, and that it's become more and more important, and it's called the Pareto optimum state. So it's defined as a state in which no economic change can make one individual better off with at least making one individual worse off. So I'll give you a quick example. My favorite restaurant is Oceano down in Lantana, and my husband does not like this restaurant, right? So I say, let's go. In that case, I'm taking him to a restaurant he doesn't like at all. That's not a Pareto optimum state, because by making me better off and taking me to my favorite restaurant, I'm making him worse off. So, you know, some would argue happy wife, happy life, but essentially what we want is anytime that we make a change, we want it to improve everyone's experience. So I'm joking when I give this example, but it's helped me about how to make better decisions as a transportation professional. And I think it's particularly important in at least the later deployment of this project and this system. A connected vehicle application that would make the system worse off for any system user is not the intention of this project, and it's quite difficult to determine this early in the planning. And since I've got you involved in this bit of trivia, I might as well tell you that this is all theoretical. So there's no state ever proven that has a purely defined Pareto optimum state. So as you drive in Palm Beach County, appreciate and remember that delicate balance and the Pareto efficiency. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about the project unknowns. The planning phase will evaluate the following. First, its exact specifications of additional infrastructure needed. Does the system need to be able to scale for the techies in the group to DSRC or to some other type of technology? What's best for the network in the context of Palm Beach County? Again, this is important so we can design the construction plans with as much information for the contractor as possible to ensure a successful project. Second is how to successfully integrate new infrastructure with the existing infrastructure of Palm Beach County ATMS network in a way that meets their needs. Third is to begin discussion about the specifics of intergovernmental agreements needed. These agreements are typical of state-funded transportation technology projects as they require operations maintenance understandings between the agencies, which includes funding agreements, such as this, and in this project, that would be required between the state and the county. So last is what the CV platform will look like. That's still unknown. When we start evaluating for CV applications, we're going to be looking at appropriateness, how and where these applications will occur. And again, we want to make sure that the platform will improve network conditions. So these are some of, just a reminder of the next steps is to conduct the planning phases, document the key requirements, and that doesn't just include the technical requirements, but also the needs of the communities along the corridor and especially of the county in terms of technology requirements. Continue coordination with partners and other projects in the area. That's key here. There's a lot going on State Road 710. So the coordination and taking all of the timelines into consideration is a big factor here. And then last is to develop that agreement between FDOT and Palm Beach County for operations and maintenance of system elements. These are new system elements, so it's going to require Palm Beach County and DOT sitting down together to discuss them. Okay, so with that, I hand it back over to the chair, and I'm wondering if all of you could share just some of your initial thoughts about the project, how we can best coordinate with you over the course of the project. Again, this is my first time speaking to the TAC. And then who else should we coordinate with that we might not be at this meeting?
Okay, thank you, Autumn. Before we go there, I want to ask staff if there are any public comments on this item.
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then with that, I will, this is an informational item, so I'm gonna ask members of the committee if they have any questions, comments. I can see Terrence raising his hand. Go ahead, Terrence.
Yes, thank you, Mo. Terrence Bailey, I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Riviera Beach. So State Road 10 from Blue Heron all the way east to President Barack Obama Highway. Please update your maps and literature. Old Dixie does not exist in Riviera Beach anymore. It is President Barack Obama Highway now. I would be the appropriate contact person for any and all communication in that stretch of State Road 710. If you need me to, we can go offline, or somebody at the TAC can give you all of my contact information. But we would certainly like to open up a dialogue as soon as possible to understand implications for our community and residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Terrence. Since it was
I have Aaron Hoffman here. I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
At the Port of Palm Beach, I wanted to offer the businesses that use this port that would be most interested in this, especially the sugar and molasses businesses that come in and out of the port. Walpole Trucking is probably the predominant conveyor of those products through our port, and you might want to contact them about this as well. That's all.
Yes, certainly. I thought, the port would be one of the stakeholders that should be involved. I think Autumn was looking for some feedback on who else needs to be involved. So if any of the members have ideas also, please kick them in. Thank you, Aaron. Who else wants to speak? I don't see any hands. Do you, staff?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I want to speak now, if you don't mind, guys. Thank you, Autumn, for working with us and with coordinating with the county on this presentation and your outlook for the project. This project has a lot of good elements in it, including adding more fiber optic along this corridor, also adding more advanced traffic signal controller systems, and adding more sensors, cameras, etc. We want to make sure just that, and we know that we will work together on this because eventually Palm Beach County will take over operation and maintenance. I know that this is the intention at this point. Having said that, I have just a couple of questions for you. First question is the freight signal priority one of the objectives of this project still?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you. And the other question is, have you or had the trucking community been played any role in the development of this project or the concept?
Not in the development of the project, but I have spoken to them about their willingness to participate, mostly because they cause a lot of impacts along the roadway. And this project may serve as an opportunity to alleviate some of those impacts to our local communities and improve freight mobility and safety along the corridor.
Very good, thank you. And I know in your presentation, and you were right about this, that there are so many variables in undertaking a project like this. Technology keeps on changing, demand and circumstances keep on changing. But the overall goal is safety, mobility for all, and multimodalism, which we all appreciate. And one of the elements that I like about this project that you guys are going to be adding it to the arterial management program that we currently have in cooperation between FDOT and Palm Beach County. We have a set of arterials within the county that are continually monitored by staff upstairs in our TMC, and they are staffed mostly by consultants hired on behalf of FDOT. So this corridor will be added to that system, and that will be a great advantage of this project. And I agree with Autumn that this is a long, important corridor that has just, it's the only corridor in that area, and if it has any accident or incident that will close or cause that shutdown of that corridor, traffic obviously will suffer extremely. There are no other options for them to go around. So this is a great option to have this added and monitored. I want to make comment about the scheduling for this project. So it seems like, and you, Autumn, were yesterday at the presentation that was provided by another FDOT consultant about the SR 710 roadway project widening, which included also the new concept that is being proposed for the intersection of North Lake Boulevard and SR 710, the continuous flow intersection design concept. And you probably paid attention to the construction schedule that they have on that project. I thought construction there will be completed in FY25. So obviously you need to coordinate, your project schedule to match with their schedule, certainly. So, and the other thing is, I want to just mention again that, and we appreciate that Autumn has offered to meet with the North County Neighborhood Coalition. This is a coalition of almost all the neighborhoods along North Lake Boulevard, and mostly some of them east, and but mostly they are west of the Beeline Highway. Those folks are certainly gonna be impacted first time, big time, by anything that we do on this corridor, and in particular at that intersection. And one of the members of the boards there asked yesterday and brought up the concern with any signal priority that we may consider along that corridor impacting their access to North Lake Boulevard. And I appreciate that Autumn and FDOT understand this, and they are willing to work around it to make sure that the interests of all stakeholders and affected parties there are taken into consideration. With this, I have no further comments, and I will ask.
Mr. Chair, I do have that Alex Hansen has his hand raised.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to make sure that City of West Palm Beach is involved and that FDOT coordinates with the city on this project. Sections of this corridor are run through portions of the city, and there's residential communities as well as natural areas that are part of the city right adjacent to it. So again, just keep the City of West Palm Beach included in the development of this project.
Certainly, and I think, Natalie, some of the communities there are within Palm Beach Gardens are going to be impacted directly by anything that's done there. I can't think of Avenir. I know Ibis is West Palm Beach, but Avenir is the big, player here. So
yes, yeah, Gardens is definitely within the scope that was presented, Autumn. So if there's any information that you wish to send, and if you wish to coordinate with the City of Palm Beach Gardens, you can reach out to me directly.
Very good. Thank you. Do I have any other comments or questions? Okay, very good. Thank you. And thank you, Autumn, again for your presentation. Then we'll go to the next item now. Item 4, administrative items. Member comments. If any member has a comment for the committee, please utilize the raise hand function of the Zoom platform to ask to be recognized, and then remember to unmute yourself when you want to speak, or when you are recognized. With that, do I have any member who has a comment that want to share with us?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you. Then let me go to item 4B, summary points from the July 16th, 2020 Governing Board meeting. This is an informational item, and there is no staff presentation for this item unless any members of the committee would have questions or would request any comment from our presentation. Okay, I don't see anything. Do you see, staff?
No,
that anybody wants to speak? Okay. Okay, let's move then to item 4C, FDOT project scheduling report. Again, this is an informational item, and there is no staff presentation on this item. Is there any request by a committee member for a presentation? All right, seems nobody. All right, let's move to the next one, and that's our next TAC meeting is scheduled for October 7th, 2020. We will provide information in the near future regarding where and when that meeting will be conducted. Hopefully, and that's personal hope, that we'll be able to go back to normal life by then. But anyway, thank you for your participation with us as we conduct this virtual committee meeting today. At this time, I would like to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.